I think we should have a competition. All right. I think we have to figure out who's going to get closest to spelling his last name correctly.
What? Let's hold on. There's a reason I'm cutting off here. We need to cut an intro.
But
what I'm going to do now is we're going to cut the beginning, and we need to say who your name is because we didn't even get to that. So,
hi everybody, welcome to Things Might Happen with Tyler, Sheldon, and Tyler. Today we have a guest. It's actually a really special episode of Things Might Happen because 1 year ago today we filmed our first guest segment with somebody very close to our current guest.
hello and welcome to Things Might Happen. On my left, we have the co-host Sheldon Starr. On the right, we have my co-host Tyler Matheson. Today, we have a very special guest. It is our second season of Things Might Happen. There's a lot of changes going to be happening today.
We're going to be funny this time.
And for example, before I actually open, we're just going to have one of the people try it. And then I'm going to dismissively do this anyway. And I don't know why they don't like me more. But first, we're gonna wrap it around. February 1st last year, we had quite possibly the twinkiest person we've ever had on the show.
That's how you want him described, I'm sure. You're really.
I didn't say it was like a kink thing. I just said he's twink. That's a descriptor.
Is it the perm? Is that it?
Does he have a perm now? He had straight hair last time.
Yeah, he's kind of bouncing back and forth.
Okay. We had Jacob Schendzielous. Quite possibly the worst shirt in the game.
I tried to hunt that shirt down.
And now today, on February 1st, 2025, we have the father of Jacob Schendzielous, Ryan Schendzielous, who
allegedly
the father.
I don't know. You guys have the same face and you're the same height. Yeah, no, it's
okay.
Yeah.
He's got better
I think
calves
it's
than
pretty
you.
strong.
I think we made Jacob do this, but can you just spell your last name for everybody?
Can you? You looked very concerned there.
I think in fourth grade, they give you the extra credit word on spelling tests.
Yeah.
My last name was the extra credit one time.
I
think it's just so I could get that extra credit and pass, and the teacher could move on from me. It's a terrible, terrible child.
S-C-I?
No. You're already wrong.
S-C-H.
S-C-H?
Yeah. S-C-H.
What a train wreck of a name.
Is there a Z in there? I
Yes.
feel like there's a Z.
There is
Yeah.
at the end.
I know how to
near the
spell your
end.
last name.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, right.
Okay. S.
Oh, you can't write it.
C-H.
Writing is cheating.
E-N?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. S-C-H-E-N.
You aren't going to read it aloud, you coward. This is an audio format.
Is that a B at the end?
No.
Okay. L-O-S?
Yes.
Two letters
Read
out
it.
of place.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right, so go for a whole thing.
S-C-H-E-N. There's not a J. I feel like there's a J.
There's
No,
no
it
J.
makes a J sound. But
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no J.
Yeah. S-C-H-E-N. Z. Oh, jeez. This is
What's the sound they make when they fail in the national spelling bee?
Yeah, the bright just
crushing kids at the spelling bee with that. S-C-H-E-N-D-Z-I-E-L-O-S.
Yeah.
So
There we
close.
go.
So
Yeah.
close. It's I before E, except after D-Z.
You wrote your own name on the chalkboard.
I did.
And it's like...
M.
That's an N.
Oh, okay.
It's cursive.
I think the camera can see it, but it's terrible cursive. Man, you only wrote Ryan.
Yeah.
I think he wrote cyan, like the color for the printer.
He can't spell his own last name.
Did you do that because you were not sure? You're like, I got really focused.
It was nice. It was always a way to screen telemarketers because they'd be like, "Hey, is Mr. Sin there?" Like, you don't know me. No, he is not. Even though, okay, so teachers, telemarketers, all that, my whole life. And then 5 years ago, would butcher it. 5, 6, 10 years ago. What does it matter? I'm at the West Side Walgreens here, and I'm checking out and just give the guy my credit card. Older guy, Slavic, kind of whatever, looks at me and he's like, Schendzielous. And I'm like, Grandpa? No
Do you
one
think that was
ever.
Obi?
It was
the Obi of bread. Anyway, yeah. I remember the only way I ever remembered your name because when you introduced it to me, you knew that I was never going to understand it.
No.
You always told me that to remember how to say it, it's a sin to be jealous.
Wow, that was creative of me.
You don't remember that?
I'm sure I said dumb shit like
Well,
that.
'cause-
That might have been Adam.
Oh,
that sounds more like
that's
that
an,
does sound
that's an
like
Adamism. Yeah.
which because I always thought it was funny because you're a former
yeah.
preacher.
No, yeah.
That does seem like an Adam thing now that I think
Now
about
that I
it.
think about it.
Why don't? Okay, so for February 1st next year,
we get
Yeah.
Adam on.
we're gonna get Adam.
gonna
on.
get Adam.
Fly in
Well, we
from
need-
Switzerland.
We need to have a different Schendzielous every February 1st to mark the beginning.
Mm.
And I don't think
Like
Nicole,
Groundhog's Day?
Yeah.
One of the Schendzieloses will come see their shadow.
I don't feel like Nicole would be comfortable.
No.
Doing this.
No.
I don't. It feels vulgar to ask, "What's your daughter doing?"
Well, there's a couple because right.
Yeah,
right?
there's two of them.
I'll
So
take
there's
any of them. You know
Actually,
what I mean?
bring the younger one in because
Sydney?
she's
Yeah.
well. It depends on the vibe you want. The older one is optimistic and like I can change the world,
Mm.
and the younger one is like, fuck the world. Let's just burn it anyway.
What-
So
which one was the one who was huffing paint in your house?
all of us. Oh no, yeah. My youngest was living at a house I'm remodeling, so it's
Yeah,
just
your
trash.
youngest is hilarious.
And her and her friends came over to decorate it, which I'm like, yeah, do whatever you want. I got to repaint and do a bunch of things. And I go over there just to make sure, it's standing. And they're all in there with spray paint everywhere. And walking up, I can tell like this is just all fumes in this house. And yeah, walked in and they're like, hey, like, oh man.
Oh
So-
no.
So we need to have your youngest next year.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't really like your older one. Which, again, this just sounds really profane to be talking about someone's daughters this way.
Yeah, it is.
Give me your youngest daughter.
I can't believe you haven't gotten like stomped outside somewhere.
And you
yet.
keep wondering, why don't people want to come back on our podcast? I don't know. Give me your youngest daughter. I don't like the older one. Are you like a biblical character?
She's
Yeah,
just
that was about to say that fits with some
in
Old
Genesis,
Testament stories.
right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that one is there.
So,
And then we'll fly Adam back from Switzerland.
yep.
From Switzerland.
Yeah, we'll use some. We'll trick them out here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna lead into the full interview portion where we talk about the worst thing that Ryan's ever done to any of us.
Well, only to some of
Maybe
Publicly.
Worst thing he's publicly done to us.
us so far.
Yeah.
made me stronger
That's
Thanks.
right.
They make me stronger.
and sad. Now I have anxiety issues. So thanks.
Perfect.
Yeah, that definitely didn't start with your Catholic school upbringing or anything like that.
Wow,
He was
multiple priests have just ruined you.
You literally. Oh yeah, you were a priest before. Let's let everybody
Yeah,
know
I don't
that.
think you were a priest.
I was not a
right?
priest.
You were a pastor.
Oh,
There is
yeah.
a difference.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah.
He was a pope.
They'll let anybody.
was a
be
I know
pope.
we're not
pastor.
trying to do a whole episode, but really quick, what were you? Like, what was your title?
I was just a pastor.
A pastor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got my Master's of Divinity from Bethel Seminary out in St. Paul.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you can pasteurize milk?
Yes. It means I have mastered the divine.
Hmm.
It's a very humble
And
title.
they say graphic design is not a real degree. I don't know.
Wait, you went to school for 6 years
Yeah.
to learn about God?
Oh, yeah.
I had that shit figured out by like 7, dude.
Yeah. Well, it took me.
I just did
It
it
took
once
me.
a week too.
Yeah, it took me like $60,000 in 5 years to figure out. I should probably just be nice to people.
Trevor wants you guys to have an improv group.
Oh,
and
he
I don't
wanted me-
understand
he-
why.
Pitched the idea of like restarting the whole thing.
I think you should.
No.
And somehow give me money.
No. You should.
No,
You could
two-man
run
improv.
it.
You and
Oh my
Trevor.
God.
Just
You remember
two-man
what? You
improv.
remember what my
You-
qualifications for running over the first time? You were.
Letting
You
your
didn't.
brother sleep on the couch inside the.
Yeah, basically. You didn't know. You never met David Patton.
Yeah.
So he was the lawyer who moved to town, who wound up coming to the church I was pastoring, and he was. The story is he was a teacher for a little while at Second City. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually a decent instructor,
He was a teacher near the Second City.
He was part of Second City, but also like he was better at teaching it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he came, did this, and we had like this church building. He's like, hey, I'm thinking of like starting up this improv group. Can we use your space? And blah, blah, blah. Long story short, 6 months later, he was like, it's a little left of Marx in his political beliefs. And it's like, I got to get the whatever out of here. And he's like, improv's yours. I'm like, okay, I know. I've been doing this for 4 months. Of course I can run this.
So 4 months into doing the West Dakota Improv, you were running.
I was now in charge of running it.
Okay, so how many people were in West Dakota Improv at that time?
At that time, there were, so you know Cardine, right?
I sure do.
Yeah, you sure do.
I mean, sorry, Cardine listens. I sure do.
It was funny because they did like auditions. I went and watched like their first practice, and I was like, that looks like fun. Can I be part of it? Not like trying to, hey, you're using my church, let me be part of it. He's like, all right, we're doing different auditions. So it was like me, Cardine, was like 4 other people did this first audition. And of course I get the call. I'm like, hey, you're in. And I call up Cardine and was like, I made it. Have you heard yet? And she's like, motherfucker, we all made it. They need people. I was like, oh, well, now I feel less special. But it was true. Everybody made it, which is also true of every audition we ever had, minus one guy ever.
Tyler Corbijn.
Tyler Corbijn. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yes, and
he was like, no,
but
there's only one guy you guys ever turned away.
I can't remember.
That makes sense for when I joined.
They turned him away, and they're like, "We need somebody." And
what
you were
was?
there.
God, I can't remember the guy's name. So he's a School of Mines student. He used to come around and do stand up. He did some of the competitions or whatever the hell those were that we used to run.
Oh, what was his name again? God damn it.
But he had the domestic violence joke.
I know who you're talking about.
And he told it. I heard that joke 17 times and never one time did anybody laugh ever.
I know his name, but I'm not going to say it.
Okay, good. No, I'm not trying to out him.
One time, he literally like dragged a backpack into the open mic, up to the front, and then made a joke about it being a bomb, and then put the bag down and pulled out binders, and the first binder said rape jokes.
Yeah.
And then he tossed it off the side. He pulled out another binder, and it said like beating women jokes.
Yeah.
And he threw it off the side. And then I don't remember what the last one was, but that was the one that he pretended to read from or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, what a horrific prop for comedy. Right? What a horrific thing to do.
What did his name start with?
Give me C. It started with a C.
Okay.
But yeah, I can see why, because well, here's the thing.
So we tried to do, and I tried to be as gracious as possible, because again, I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm like, well, who knows? I mean, Erica, when she first tried out, I'm like, oh, you seem fun and normal, and you could be pretty decent at this, and like within a month, you're better than all of us at this.
Yeah.
Okay. But he literally. Oh, we're not recording yet, are we?
Oh. Everything is going in.
Okay.
Everything is content.
That's why I wouldn't say his name.
Okay. Well, there's another guy who we all know who also couldn't get the idea of yes and. It was like, I'm going for the punchline, whether it kills the scene or not.
See, that's why I can't do improv.
And that's why. Well, no, but you could. I mean, it doesn't seem that hard to just act normal, because that's all you have to do, and usually the funny finds you, right? And this guy just couldn't do it. It was just like, and then just dead scene. Like, oh.
See, every single time I do improv, I'm like just literally sitting there like a pressure cooker, just about to explode. I'm like, I'm gonna have the funniest goddamn line, and everyone's gonna love me, and I'm gonna pick up chicks after the show.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like,
that's where chicks hang out, is at improv shows.
So that's what's going on in your mind as we're all looking over at you, like, Tyler, say something.
And then I'm like, and then I say,
like, just slowly rotating your hips, like, oh.
That's me pretending to be in the scene. Just like I'm supposed to be like handing someone a cup or something. And I'm like, yeah,
I better get laid for this.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable doing improv.
It's so much fun.
You watch good improv, of which there is like 4 people in the world, it seems like, that can do it. And you're like, this is amazing. And then you do improv with other people and you're like, wow, we did not do that.
No.
I the only improv I was ever good at was the jump out stuff.
Mm.
And then otherwise I was just like, how can I be racist? How can I be racist that people like?
Right. Well, in South Dakota, it's very straightforward how to do that.
Yeah, I've had to kill a lot of bits that I thought were really good because I did them in Sturgis. And then I do them anywhere with a school
Mm-hmm.
within a 100-mile radius.
Mm-hmm.
And people would be like, ooh, you might want to, we don't like that.
We don't like that.
Yeah. So anyways, you pick up this improv out of nowhere.
Yeah. No, it was literally handed to me.
You guys were just doing the VFW shows?
Yeah. And
they were going well?
They were like slowly building momentum for the first year. We had, so for almost 2.5 years, every weekend I did improv. And then when we had the theater, even like twice a week. And
I'm so
But, like,
sorry.
how
How
many
are you
no,
still alive?
No, exactly.
Like, that's
I burnt
terrifying.
myself out, like long term, burnt myself out.
How many people at the VFW shows, though?
So we could get 100 people in there. It's also, man, VFW was great. They were very hospitable, but they kept just trying to insert little things every once in a while. We came in one time and there's literally like the silhouette of the kneeling soldier at the grave.
Yeah,
On
the
stage.
stage.
On the stage.
Oh,
Like,
that's a punchline
this is,
in
yeah,
itself,
this is
right?
going to
Yeah.
be great comedy.
I remember you did the Black Hills Comedy Fest, and I walked in there like, this is gonna be the background.
Yeah, that was perfect. So I say that I was there every weekend. There was also a group of guys and the women that they drug along with them that were there every weekend for like 2 straight years. And they would there was 4 of them total, but they would bring new people every time.
Yeah.
And then, it just started like more and more. And then we started just filling the room, once a week, Friday nights, 80, 90 people. And then someone had the awful idea of like, we should have our own space and do this.
Well, and if you were getting 80, 90 people a show,
Yeah.
I would say you should get your own space. But I came in pretty much as you guys got your own space.
Yeah.
And I did not see 8 or 9 people.
Every once in a while you did.
Most of them were on stage. but
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's what I could never figure out is we
So-
would have 70 people and then 3.
When
And then-
you got the space, was like the idea, oh, we're just gonna do improv every
Yeah.
weekend?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Every weekend because
Yeah.
that's sustainable. Not just once a week,
Yeah.
twice a week. And, the 15 at most people that we had in the troupe, yeah, we won't burn out at all. It was such a good business plan. Well, and that's what sucked about it. It was this fun hobby, and it was like energizing and life-giving. I looked forward to it. And then after about 6 months at the theater, I was like, this is a business. And now I have to run it.
Yeah.
And I had no ambition / business plan / anything. And we started, so then we started like opening it up to some of the metal groups and stuff,
Yeah.
which early on it was great. They're so appreciative. We have a space,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
The pretend to paint upstairs wasn't nearly as thrilled about it.
Pretend to paint?
Yeah, pretend to paint. Sip your wine, Karen, and pretend you're an artist for an hour. Anyway, they were nice too. Whatever.
By the way, I miss partying with your brother. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. I do too. He may move to Switzerland.
Really?
Yeah,
Where's he living right now? He's living
they're in
in
Michigan.
Michigan, and
His,
they were like, you
like-
know what would be great?
Something colder.
Well, she's out there. Ayla's out there, getting her PhD, and
Listen, at no point was I like, it's something that Adam is doing.
Adam ambitiously got
Adam
up
is
as like Michigan.
I have a job in
He is
Switzerland.
he is taking classes though. He's like
he's
actually,
a
I want to
smart
say
person.
he's a very
He's a smart
person.
person. He's a very capable person.
Yeah.
It's just he lacks something. There's something where he's just like, you know what? Just gonna hang.
tolerance for anything.
Yeah.
Do you
yeah.
consider like court mandated DUI like classes? Is that what we're talking about here? Okay. All right.
Yeah. They're
So-
graciously enough
Yeah.
to sign him up for it.
Yeah.
So Adam, so it was during that time that you did while the Improv was open, I believe, the Black Hills Presidential Comedy Fest,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was the
Yeah.
comedy competition,
it was.
and it should not have been.
No. Well, okay, so we let some of the metal bands start doing stuff, and again, early on they were gracious, and then by the end of that, the day I knew it was time to close the theater is I used to get up super early to do my job, whatever, and I knew they had a show the night before, and I'm like, I should probably just swing by and make sure everything's fine, and I literally 5 a.m. drive by the theater and the front doors are wide open and all the lights are on and I was like, and nobody's there.
No one
And I was
walked
like, okay, no one's in. I'm like, who's in charge of this thing? And I was
and
like,
the
oh
metal
yeah,
shows,
it's me.
Those were
So,
probably the only thing that was making money towards the end,
towards the end. Yeah. So-
because I know stand up did really well, like a couple times that we did it there, right?
A couple of times. Well, so that's what we decided because we had before you even we had a stand-up comic in the troupe, and I think he just started talking shit about like you guys couldn't like do stand-up. You're good at this, but whatever. And we're like, screw you, we can do that. And so we even did a couple stand-up shows at the VFW
Yeah.
and tried to carry him over. But again, not knowing, shit about fuck. I think we were giving people 20-minute sets. Like 10 people, 10, 15 people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, everybody don't go over 20 minutes. And they're 3-hour shows.
And the people, again, this is people who are like, you told them to do stand up a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And they've never really thought about doing stand up.
Right.
So they literally are going up there and being like, I think I could come up with something about this. They
Right.
should be given 2 minutes. 2 minutes would have been
2.
perfect for some of these
And a
people.
light at 1.
Yeah.
No, it was so bad. I mean, even in the smaller competitions that you guys would come in and be like, hey, let me just win this real quick because I'm the only one who knows what they're doing. And you were the funniest. But
I like how you threw that in there at the
yeah,
end. Like,
I mean,
It was very unnecessary.
yeah, we're gonna give this to you by default. You did
It's-
earn it, but
it wasn't a high hurdle to clear. Let's put it that way. But yeah, we're like 20 minutes opening round. Everybody gets. I think we started giving them like 7 or 8, but then each round it got more and more. And so this competition was what 2 days, 3
Yeah.
hours a night.
Yeah.
And we're like, why?
Dude,
why
they
are
were-
people not
it
here?
was insane. Because the first round, I remember the
Were
first
you
round
not
was
there? You weren't there at the
No.
the
time.
first round
Okay.
was like literally everybody from the improv and then a couple other guys around town who were like, oh, I want to do comedy.
hmm
But I don't really know. I don't even remember. There was an open mic at that point. Maybe not.
No.
I don't know if
this
there
was post Beach Club, right?
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
post Beach Club, so I was doing open mics at music open mics. Like music people were
Oh,
like
the dark
being
times.
gracious enough to give me time.
All right,
And-
wait, pause before we go there because the name was dropped. You guys probably didn't watch the Golden Globes. No, okay.
No.
So there's a best comedy special category,
Yeah,
and so Bargatze comes out to present it, right?
yeah,
And he starts talking about like his inner critic, but how it's in the voice of a parrot. And he goes, because years ago I did a show for 8 people in South Dakota where there was a parrot
he
in the
dropped
room.
the Beach Club.
Nobody would know that. No one had
That's
any idea.
so
And I'm like,
good.
there's no way it wasn't the Beach Club.
That's so.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Yeah,
It's got to be. I mean,
absolutely.
there's a place with a parrot and
Yeah.
be in South Dakota.
And
So
8 people. Yeah, that sounds like the Beach Club.
so I'm sitting there
Yeah.
like literally shaking Nicole. I'm like, he means the Beach Club. She's like, no way.
So
I'm like,
funny.
no, for sure. So anyway,
That is hilarious.
Yeah, the Beach Club, which for listeners,
Rest
For
in
listeners.
peace.
was a hotel attached comedy club
yeah,
that had really good comics
Yeah.
coming through.
Yeah.
obviously.
And then changed to new ownership. And that person did not like comedy and would not give it
No.
any time.
Mhm.
I can only imagine someone like seeing Bargatze now like on TV and be like, I just saw that guy 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Beach Club.
Maybe
No
he'll come
way.
back someday.
Maybe he'll tour back through.
But yeah, so yeah, open mics not a thing.
No.
First night, I believe there's 3 rounds. And the first night,
Mm-hmm.
the first round was like 20 comics.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them got like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a show. That's the whole show.
That's the whole show.
Then there was a second show. Not a second show, by the way. It just kept going. And then the second round, or maybe the second round was on the second night.
no,
No,
just the finals on the
Yeah.
second night.
There is not enough beer in the
So the
world to
second
get through
show-
that.
So the second round of the comedy competitions, after a 100+ minute show,
Mm-hmm.
and then that one was where we all got 10 minutes, and maybe there was like 5, 8 people left at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So another show, just 2 shows back to back. You were sitting through, and again, a lot of very amateur, very green, so green. People who understand funny but don't understand how to perform stand-up
They're
comedy.
just up there improving it. You know,
And then-
they're-
yeah, and then
give me a
the-
premise. Give me a premise.
Yeah, the second night
One
was
guy-
like 3 people with 20
One guy,
minutes.
I can't remember his name either. And he told a great joke that I then realized was completely stolen. The joke he told was, I recently got beat up by the KKK. Yeah, it was a brutal initiation. Something like that.
Sure,
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That's hilarious.
And then I can't remember who. I was like, heard that joke and I was like, oh, okay, you stole that. Anyway, he ran the light by like 3 minutes, which
I know who
you,
we're talking
you were
about
supposed
now.
to deduct points. And then he started crowd work. He was
Yeah.
just like, hey, what are you doing here? And I literally had to walk up and be like, and you're done.
Yeah, I know
Oh,
exactly who you're
gosh.
talking about because when I first saw him, I was like, wow, this guy's very
Was he the
funny.
guy with like
Yeah.
long?
Yeah,
long
yeah,
hair?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay, I know who you're
I was like,
talking
this
about.
guy's very,
Very funny. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I was like sitting there going like, I gotta like talk to this guy and like figure out like how to write because this guy's writing some fire.
Right.
And then I think Brian O'Brien one time, like I was like watching, and Brian like he like whispers to me, he's like, "That's a Jesselnick bit."
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
That's exactly who it
And-
was. It was
and then-
Jesselnick. Now
and
that you
then-
say it, yes.
And like Brian's like doing the thing where he, you know, the Midwestern, I'm mad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna tell you. I'm just gonna sit back and mean eye you, mean mug you.
Yeah.
And then he's like doing that the whole time. And he like as he leaves, he's like, that whole thing is just Jesselnick bits.
Just
and
Yeah.
I mean, you know, other ones too, but like
Yeah.
but it's all stolen.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, oh, I should do no.
That's way easier. I didn't know we could do that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, he was like probably one of the best, and all of it's stolen.
And all
All
of
of
it's
it's stolen.
Yeah, completely.
And
taken.
also huge ego for having just stolen bits.
He's like, well, I know this is good because I saw it
Yeah.
work in a theater of 3,000 people.
Yeah, I went up there and I just did Eddie Murphy's Raw. Oh,
Did you get the leather suit?
Yeah. Your mom ever make you hamburgers?
yeah.
All right, so to bring it back around, yeah, so we ran, 2-3 terrible competitions at the theater, and we're like, well, of course we should do this nationally because we got this figured out.
Well, and those were well attended. Like,
Well, that's the crazy part. Now that we talk about
People
like
loved
these
it.
3-hour shows, people stayed and laughed. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that house starved with South Dakota for like something funny. So yeah, so we thought for sure this is going to be pretty easy. I think I had met Moss by then because he came up to record. I think his early
yeah,
special.
Zach Moss.
Yeah, and then
Wait, Punching Jesus was recorded?
no,
No.
Punching Jesus.
Punching Jesus was recorded at the Comedy Underground in Denver.
He recorded his first one ever here in South Dakota. The whole
Okay.
thing was like, prodigal son returning home to slay.
yeah.
And that was the night where Vanderplug and Ben Bryant
They got in the fight and
they got in a
arrested.
fight. Well, we're at the dance club after all of this. Bryant takes Plug's hat and just throws it in the middle of the crowd, and they push and shove there. Whatever. It's finally closing down. We go outside and they just like get into it, like on the streets, and all of a sudden, there's cops just waiting there, just like drooling for like, let's jump in.
Yeah,
Was
because
this-
that's where they
Teddy's?
just wait.
Yeah.
Because they want
Yeah.
to see the
They
drunk
wanna
guys
see the guy-
walking to their car,
Yeah.
or there's going to be a fight. Something about that corner in that like building makes people get into fights.
No.
This is Teddy's, the former
No,
Teddy's?
this is not Teddy's. This
Oh.
is Press Start, but back when it was
Oh,
cold. And
was it
Press Start
Dublin
still.
at that point?
They
Or
brought they
Cole.
brought the
Oh, that would have been when it
it was
Dublin's,
Ignite,
right?
No,
No, it
it
would've
was
been
the
Cole?
nightclub was called Ignite, and then
Oh.
the place was called
Oh my god, I
Cole?
remember that.
Cole.
It was Cole for a
Cole,
while.
Cole,
K-O-L.
Yeah, but
Cole.
then supposedly they moved the tables and it became Ignite. Right? I don't know. They also brought that back now. Press Start. They clear it out and apparently
Oh,
bring
it's
people.
bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. After like 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
it's not a place to hang out. It's a place to
Well, everyone that
get grounded on.
everyone that
Grounded
used to go to
on.
Stabby's like had to go somewhere else.
People were just starving for a place to grind on each other.
Yeah.
right?
Well, when
Yeah.
Teddy's closed down, it's like the swamp of Rapid City has released all of its monsters.
Right. And they're not leaving. They're just gonna find a new place to inhabit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of slot machines, it's all
Climate change is
arcade
terrible.
machines.
It's
Yeah.
arcade, but
Yeah.
then I don't know. It's what it is. Anyway, so
So they got
I
in a
knew
fight.
I knew
They
Zach.
got arrested.
So I knew Zach from then, and then I had someone made the poster for this thing, and it was clearly like a template, like Microsoft something, and it was terrible. He calls me up and he's like, "Is this a real thing?" Because we're like, this is how we're gonna get people here. We're gonna offer $7,000 top prize, and by offering $7,000, we're gonna get so many. Like,
by the way,
it was like $20 for a submission. We're like,
$7,000 is such a crazy cash prize,
I think-
especially like almost 10 years ago.
well, I think it all worked out to 10 total because second place was like 2 and then 1, so we're like it's $10,000 total, and then we're like, but we're gonna make that up because so many people are gonna come to this thing, and then B, so many people are gonna submit to it because they want $7,000.
Did you charge for submission?
Well,
How much did you
we
charge?
were
You just
planning
said
on it.
$20.
$20. Yeah, audio engineer.
That's gonna get cut out.
So after a month and a half, and we're a month to the festival, almost no submissions. We're like, this is gonna fail.
Wait a second. You didn't know who was gonna be on the fest a month before?
Right, because we were gathering
A
submission.
month
I know.
before?
Okay. Yeah. Now I know, Tyler.
And you're gonna get the best comedians in the country.
Okay, we had
month before.
a handful at that point. We had a handful of like comics from we had an LA guy, we had like a Washington guy, and we're like, okay, we didn't have it. We did poorly. Anyway, I basically sent an SOS to Zach. I'm like, can you find some comedians? He's like, yeah, I'll get people up there for $7,000. Yeah. It went as bad as it could have.
Well, because no one knew it was happening.
No one knew it was happening.
No one knew it was happening. A certain radio DJ around here who's disgraced now
yeah,
Okay.
was
all right,
supposed to
good.
handle marketing.
I was gonna say
And he
you're-
said no one knew.
So we literally, I'll take care of venues. I'll get all this set. Like, my responsibilities, your responsibilities. Constantly checking in. We're good because it wasn't as if he didn't have a reputation before that, right?
Yeah, you knew he was flaky.
I knew he
You
was.
knew he was
I
flaky
knew.
because he flaked
And
on
it
the
was-
club.
and it was yeah. Well, he had to leave the club because both his wife and mistress were coming to the same shows. Literally,
Wait,
that
is
was
that-
happening.
that's
That is
awesome.
100%. It was during one of the competitions. We had to ask Kevin to close it out because he was supposed to close, and he's like,
Wait, he was supposed to close.
Steve was supposed to close, and he's like, I gotta leave. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I'm getting divorced. Both my wife and this girl are here, and they know. And I was like, yeah, bye. Anyway, so this is the guy I'm like, we should run a national festival together. So it's on me. It's all on me. But it just played out how you would think it was. I was like, you got everything we need done. Yep. The night before, all the comics are starting to get in. We want to do this big thing over at the cigar bar where we're like welcoming people and this and that.
I remember coming to that too.
And he literally calls me as like 10 minutes after he left that, it's like, hey, my grandma died. I have to go be with my mom. I still don't. If I was a betting person, I'd say no. I'd be like, I'll put $100 on no, that didn't actually happen, because then systematically over the next, 2 days, 3 days that it took place, everything that he was supposed to have in place.
So I want to go into depth on the whole festival because honestly, it's the funniest thing that's ever happened. So we don't have an infrastructure for this. This is like the first year that they're trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have comics a month before the festival. I remember going to the cigar box or the tinder box and going, I'm just standing there. I've never been in the tinder box before this. And I'm like, what are we supposed to be doing? Because there was nothing, like they didn't know we were coming. Oh. It was just 20 guys.
No. They have a secret back room that they're going to let us into. This is what I'm being told. I'm like, okay, what are we doing there? They have a secret back room. They're going to let us smoke some of these cigars, and they're going to have bottles for us and this and that. So night one, as I'm like, hey, the back room or whatever. He's like, yeah. Let me find my guy. And then I've lied before, but there, in my mind, there's always like a back door out of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to be like, I'm in the middle of this and I'm going to somehow get out of it.
So we're just standing there, just 20 guys standing in a place. It's made for lounging, big chairs. There's maybe 16 seats in the entire front area of that bar. And they're all filled with people.
Before the edition too, right?
I don't remember if it's before the edition. I don't think it was. No, it was not before the edition where they have that second side room. But even then, it's like 10 extra rooms.
Right.
Or 10 extra seats.
Right.
No, so we're just standing there because all the patrons have taken up most of the seating spots. And I'm just sitting there talking to the comedian, and it's like, I thought we were supposed to be getting drinks and like free cigars and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what I was here for.
Yeah.
And I was given a coffee mug because at some point you're walking around with coffee mugs and being like, here you go, I guess. Do you remember that?
No.
We had these coffee mugs and I don't know what the brand logo is. It's like a bee and then a bunch of flourishes and stuff. And I still have it. I still use it to this day as like the reminder of that weekend. But it was just literally like, here's a coffee mug. And all the comics who are sitting there going like, what the fuck? Like, it was like truly a good intro to this festival.
I tried to cover for at least the first like 2 or 3 like just massive fuck-ups. I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry, everybody. And finally I was like, I'm not gonna wear all of this.
Yeah.
And I just started like one-on-one with people. I'm like, I am truly sorry. If you can believe it, like this is what happened.
Yeah, Brett Hiker's looking at the coffee mug. He's like, I guess at least we got coffee mugs. He sets it down, never picks it up. It's just sitting there the rest of the night.
Okay, so that's
How did you get
that's
these
the
people
early
to
part.
come back after this?
Well,
Zach, 100%.
Zach, after the whole thing,
And
he calls me and he's like,
instead of paying $10,000,
let's do this a different
hotel.
way.
Yeah.
And we basically just copied High Plains at that point. And he was like, a couple different venues, no competition. Because so the competition plays out. One of the big things Steve did come through on is he was like, I'm gonna get us a celebrity judge. And
is that Tribble?
Well, okay, he got Tribble, but then he was like, but I want a comic also. And then I had no idea how big Tribble was was
Legend.
And the look on his face the whole time now looking back was just like, what the fuck did I get myself into? So that
first night of the actual competition, we do this show in that Hotel Alex Johnson ballroom, which you use the ballroom because surely hundreds of people will show up.
We were worried because it only sat like 150. So what are we going to do?
And my parents show up. About 7 other people show up.
Yeah.
And there are 150 seats out, ready to go. And it's this, and so we're doing our little stand-up bits or whatever, and to nobody basically. And I did fine. Yeah, I did fine. Yeah. It was probably okay. I don't remember very well.
I don't either.
I actually,
my focus was not on the comedy
I'm sure
happening at that point.
I'm pretty sure actually I was like, my heart was sinking because I was like, this sucks. This whole thing sucks. But what I didn't do very well. But we do that whole thing, and a certain local female comic did not do very well either.
No, she did not.
And so afterwards, we were back. I think we ended up back at the Tinderbox after that.
Did you?
At least a couple other comics.
The scene of the crime.
And I like no one's talking to Dave Tribble. I'm
Right.
like, this is like a legendary bar booker. Like this guy,
Right.
The Tribble run is like at that moment the only thing in the world I want to do.
Right.
And so I was like, I gotta like talk to this guy. I gotta like figure out some rules of the road. I gotta like learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down, he's like, you know, there's some comics who shouldn't even be on that goddamn stage. And I was like, yeah, like me. And he's like, no, you're fine.
Okay. Good.
That's the only reason I think I did all right.
Right.
He's like, you're fine. He's like, you're not as good as the other ones. He's like, but you're fine. Like, that's how you know he's like being truly honest.
Right.
Like,
Right.
He's like, these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing, do they? And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because he's pissed that he's come out here for this.
Because he was also sold a story of what he was coming out to do and be part of. But he was not the celebrity, whatever. The celebrity judge was a very tall female comic coming out from Vegas.
Yeah.
So that was going to be an awesome thing.
She was the celebrity?
She was the celebrity.
Actually, she was probably pretty popular at the time. She was on TV.
All the regular comics were super upset because they're like, hey, our judge should be someone who could actually compete in this festival. They were not a fan.
Well, and the other thing too is, and this is something I did not know about till the end. So you would do I don't remember how many shows there were, like 4 or 5 shows.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And the final show, which of course the whole shows, all the shows are going to have several hundred people.
Mm.
So we should get the Performing Arts Center. Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
the historic
Yeah,
theater.
the historic theater.
Oh no!
800 seats.
800 seats.
Yeah.
Chappelle does 2 nights when he comes through, or he does 2 shows a night when he comes
Sells
through.
out.
Yeah.
We're gonna pack that, but at least the lower ring, at least
At
the lower
least.
ring. But make sure the balcony's ready to go.
Wait, before we get to the theater at the ballroom, I remember I had just gotten off stage and I was like, this sucks. And then I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I walked, because you have to go upstairs to the bathroom
Yeah,
or whatever. And then I look where the judges are sitting and they're like eating chips, talking to each other while somebody's like down there doing stand up.
Well, okay, so 3 minutes before the very first show's supposed to start, I don't know where the celebrity judge is at. Never met her, never whatever,
You don't even know what she looks like.
and none. And at that point, I had to pull in Trevor Ryan to be the third judge because the third judge I don't know if they ever existed. So I think it was supposed to be someone locally famous.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now that doesn't look so bad.
Trevor actually helped make that less of a nightmare the whole weekend. So I will be forever grateful for that. But I have no idea. And someone's like, oh yeah, I think she's down in Patty's.
She's at the bar downstairs.
She comes up and just shit-faced.
All right.
And I'm like, well, this is perfect. Yeah,
we
this
should
is-
make this into a movie.
It could have been.
This could
it could have been
redeem
the
this.
world's
Yeah, I was gonna-
best comedy festival.
Oh, that's the
Documentary.
title.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so good.
And, I mean, everything that could have
I will
gone
give
wrong.
you $11 for the rights to this.
This
I
is
feel
perfect.
like that's about right, right?
So,
Oh.
to their credit, at least to my face, all the Denver comics were like amazing. They're like, hey, I think once they knew maybe it wasn't just on me, that they were like,
Wow.
whatever.
Well, so when we were at the historic theater,
Yeah.
800
at,
seats.
at this point, Sheldon and I are sitting there going like, this is a nightmare.
Mhm.
Like we're like not only embarrassed, but we're like scared to be like associated. You know what I mean?
We're
Because
the
it's like
locals here.
because
Well, you guys won the first couple Black Hills comedy.
well, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, you know
Competition.
Ryan. And I was like, yeah, we're buddies with Ryan. You know, it's like, how'd you guys get on the? Well, they just asked because we're so good friends. Obviously, we had some setup in this. You know,
Right.
we had no hands in it. We just showed up, and you know, but like,
by
we're
the end
sit-
of the festival, you're like, I don't know, Ryan.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
so we're just like sitting there, like trying to be like, yeah, we know, you know, whatever. It's like at that point, people have kind of like resigned themselves, like this fest is a fucking waste of time and money because so many of them are just like burnt out because comedy competition's not good.
Well, at that point,
makes comics
some of
mad.
these comics who had come up that didn't make it past the first round, you know, have come up to
They're
this
just
thing to
hanging
do
out.
7 minutes, and now what?
Yeah, there's no extra shows to do.
And they're going to
There's
Zach
no
like, what the
showcases.
hell? And Zach's like, is there a way we can plug in? I'm like, I didn't structure any of that. No, clearly. So clearly they're just up here now going, what the hell? But they still have some good friends in the competition and some who should clearly probably win the competition.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
One in particular who's won competitions on both coasts.
And it's Nancy Norton.
Nancy Norton.
She's very
And she's
amazing.
fucking amazing.
Well, and when you talk to her, she's very nice.
Yeah.
She's so funny when she's on stage. She
Yeah.
knows exactly what to do. She has all the things. Yeah, amazing, incredible.
Yes.
So we're sitting there, and the comics are like bitching, and they're especially bitching because they figured out the celebrity judge
I'm
is
glad you
buddies with one of the guys.
with not just buddies, like has been recording like podcast kind of shows with one of the finalists.
One of the finalists.
Yes.
So people are sitting there moaning and bitching about like this whole thing's rigged. This whole thing, and I'm like sitting there, it's not rigged because it was not supposed to go this way.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. If they rigged it, they did a bad job.
And so Sheldon and I are like really like sad, embarrassed, and we're like trying to, and like Adam, your brother,
Uh-huh.
sees us,
Mhm.
and he's like he sees that we're down, and he's a healer,
He's a hero.
and
This is a bag of potions.
he's like yes, you come with, you know, and we didn't really know what he's like. Tell us, so he leads us up to his office, one of the little ticketing booths or whatever, you know.
Oh, that's right, because he was working for the pact.
He was
at
working
that time.
for the and he gives us both edibles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not nowadays where edibles are in a real bag.
I have to say, he's like, he pulls out the bag, right? And it's just a bunch of edibles.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had a container of indica and a container of sativa, and I just threw them in this bag. So they're mixed up in the bag. So he's like, you guys can
So
have
it's
some.
edible roulette.
Yeah.
And if I remember, he didn't know what the
Yeah.
dosage was.
Yeah.
So we have no idea. He's just giving us random edibles, like it's a bag of Starburst. Like, you know, just literally
Right,
like, because I'm sure for him, he's just like, and then like an hour later, he's like, no, I want to, you know, we'll toss a little more on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I, you know, we're just like sitting there, yeah, okay, you know, not sure, not knowing that we are going to the potion cellar. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And
the
we-
medicine man.
We
Yes.
take the edibles, and we're not in a good mind state.
You take two, by the way. I remember.
Oh, I take two.
Oh, so you could get one sativa, one indica.
Oh,
Perfect.
did he give us two each?
Yeah, he gave us two each.
And I think I don't know why I would have taken two at this point. I had not used edibles almost at all before this.
Okay, so for context of this, we wound up going down to Jacob Benjamin's wedding in Nebraska, and we were riding in the car, and Adam, medicine man pulls out his baggies, and Cardine was like, "I'll do one."
Uh-huh.
And he's like, do you do this right? And she's like, no. She's like, okay, well, he's like, you're not going to want a whole one. She's like, I'm fine, whatever. Takes it, just blasted in this. There's a minivan of us with like 8 people. By the time we got to the wedding, and we pull up 5 minutes into the wedding starting, of course, she can't even get out of the car.
Yeah,
And so she stayed in the car through the ceremony. Somehow, like
she stayed in the car the whole
she
time.
stayed through the whole ceremony. Somehow we get to the hotel. They get her up in the hotel, and because we're all going to change and get ready to go over the reception. And 10 minutes later, she comes down like fully ready. I'm like, let's go. It was like the biggest rally I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, that was Adams was like, hey, if you don't do this often, don't do mine.
Yeah.
But,
So I
but for you guys, he was like, here, take
Well,
them.
he probably gave us like good advice.
Yeah.
And we probably did not follow it.
So I remember
That's
just
fair.
clunk.
Yeah, so we're in this awful mind state, which you should not take marijuana if you're like in an awful mind state.
This is why I don't F with weed at all, because I always go into dark places.
Sheldon and I are in the historic theater. We're off to the side by ourselves because we are embarrassed. But not only that, our paranoia is like, dude, everybody here hates us. Like we're because we're sitting off to the side because there's just so much negativity in the group of comics that have not made it to the final round yet.
Right.
And then the comic who is friends with the celebrity judge wins.
Oh, of course.
And that was the worst possible thing that could have happened. And when it happens, I'm like, we gotta get out of here. Like, I don't know, like, because I'm like stoned, so I'm like, they're gonna kill us. Like,
Do you remember the way? I mean, obviously, probably not the way Zach announced that, because at that point it was a tie for third between the remaining two Denver comics, Nancy, and who I actually think should have won the fucking festival, Buckley. Buckley had like the most amazing sets.
yeah,
And she reminded me.
she was hilarious.
She was hilarious, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
He was.
I was laughing the most with her. And then the guy from Nebraska, and then the winner. And it wasn't that they were bad, but they weren't
Yeah.
the winners. And so literally, I think Zach goes up there, and he's already read that, the two Denver comics are out. And he's like, and your winner is Steven, blah, blah, blah. And then they just walked off.
Yeah, it was.
And at that point, I was like, oh, man. He comes and finds me and goes, before you give anyone any money, whatever, because I didn't know anything about the connection between the judge and he's like, this and that. And so I immediately go over and start talking to the judges, and they all actually had him winning. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Tribble saw something in him, and then maybe
Well-
Trevor's just going along. Trevor actually, I know, has a good relationship now with whatever her name is. So maybe she influenced him that way too. But yeah, it was.
Well,
it was,
he wasn't not funny.
No, and
but-
that's the thing. He's a
Nancy.
decent.
That's what I remember the most. It's like Nancy was obviously the funniest. And again, comedy competitions, you shouldn't do them.
No, it's like, hey, let's take fun and entertainment and laughter and put anxiety and stress and like jealousy and competition around it. Like what?
Yeah,
No.
because you have basically two different ways that comedy competitions can go. You can have the ones that you were doing with local comedians where it's like there's like two guys who are like even actually like seriously attempting this,
Yes.
and they're gonna kill everybody.
Yes.
And so it's just that. Or you can have and obviously then everybody else is like, well, yeah, I think I'm funny, but like they know it's not
Yeah,
founded.
you know you're not supposed to
Then
win.
you have comedy competitions where it's like there's a lot of very funny people.
Yes.
And art is subjective.
Yeah.
And if they don't happen to do well or a judge just doesn't like them, they get pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened with that. Is just a bunch of people like, I was funny, I shouldn't have made it. Which nowadays when I have to end up doing a comedy competition, that's when I'm like, I go in going, art's subjective, it's not gonna go well. Not everybody
It's
gets
the perfect mindset.
10 minutes is enough to show your entire oeuvre,
Right.
But you're gonna be here and you're
And
gonna
that's
hang
when you
out.
come out with your, hey, I got this great N-word joke.
Yeah.
I'll win the
Everyone
judges
go
over
with me,
right
man.
away.
And then you lose. But even when I lose going in with that, I go, God, they should have liked me. Like, you know,
Well, and yeah, the same thing. There was everybody was funny. Clearly, more people should have made it past it. But yeah, the to use a word that the kids are, the vibe of it was just
the vibes were off.
were so off
So Sheldon and
because it was a shit show. It was a shit show.
Sheldon and I escape.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wait, okay. Before we escape, I remember I lucked out and I grabbed 2 sativas out of his bag, and I can function.
Sheldon's back on this. Wait, I think I got it right.
It's so funny because I like lucked out, right? And I was like, oh, I can function on this this type, and I'm sure you just grabbed 2 indicas because you were like this, here, like stuck there for like an hour, just. And I was like, let's go. And you're like, I can't move.
Call the medicine man. That's perfect. They still, literally, any shows that people were part of that festival that do something with Nancy, anyone who brings her up is like, winner of the Boston Comedy Festival, winner of the Seattle Comedy Festival, and 3rd place in the Black Hills Comedy Festival. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, Sheldon and I, we escape, and we're like, where's a safe place? So we go to the patio of the Brass Rail. And nowadays that sounds insane because like that's the obvious hangout spot for like nowadays the comedy show after parties at the Brass Rail.
Yeah.
It always is. Always has been.
Yeah.
But we thought, well, this is quite a good place to go high. Because again, most of the hangouts after this have been at the Tinderbox.
Okay. Yeah.
So we think the Brass Rail is a good safe place to go. I think we even discussed like where's a place they won't go.
Yeah.
What's funny, we wound up there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Here's why.
Sorry to get ahead of
Here's
you.
why. So we go in the back of the patio. We're just like sulking. We're sulking in the back of the patio, going, doing our post-show ritual of we got to stop doing comedy.
As you do. Yeah.
Erica texts me or you. I think it was me.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at? And I'm like, this is a safe thing to do because she's a local person. We're going to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And I'm like, we're at the back of the patio in the Brass Rail. And so I thought, okay, well, Erica's going to join us. And then she messages back, all right, be there soon. I'm like, okay. And then, I'm inviting all the comics to come with.
Yeah.
So we can all hang out. Sound good? And I didn't look at the message right away. I saw it, and like by the time I saw it, I was like, we gotta get out of here too. We gotta go. And obviously, I can't get up off the bench because I'm in the middle of probably the most intense marijuana trip of my life. And by the time we get like the idea, like, yeah, we gotta go, it's too late. Brett Hiker has entered the patio and he's chatting me up. He's like asking me about hockey. I don't know about hockey. I don't know about hockey sober. But he's got the Avalanche game pulled up. And he's like watching it and showing me.
That was the other thing. There was an Avs playoff game going on during that whole thing. So like, Hiker, Plug, all these like avid whatever kept coming out like in between sets and whatever, just like intense in this cheering. We were supposed to have a green room, of course, as you do at a normal competition. Set up over there. No. So we just the balcony that goes around, just outside of that, we have like 7-8 bottles of liquor right there. So people are just walking out, taking shots and this and that. And of course, if you look straight across is the front desk.
At the Hotel X Johnson.
So it didn't take long for them to be like, what the fuck?
I remember sitting on that balcony and we're taking shots and I'm like, this isn't right. Like I knew. I'm like, this is not how you're supposed to do this. The other thing too is when you look out from the Hotel Alex Johnson balcony onto the front lobby, the first thing you see is a gigantic swastika. Yeah. Which was built before swastikas became, a
symbol of peace.
Little bad. Bad. So people were literally just sitting there drinking out of bottles, looking down at the swastika.
Welcome to Rapid City, everybody.
Yeah, because at that point people are like, this place is messed up. And I'm like, actually is historically, but like I'm drunk, so I'm like, yeah, it's bad.
I remember
When the Native American guy is defending the swamp.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yo, we've got some weird
It's totally
stuff going.
cool, guys. Don't worry
No,
about
South
it.
Dakota's a really chill place, guys. Don't worry about it. They've treated my people really well here.
Pass the fire water.
The more we've talked about this, you're right. This just needs to be a movie.
Yeah.
There's because now I'm getting this storyline that I had
Yeah.
no idea
Well, that's the
about.
thing is like I have never.
we need
I've
to,
never asked
we
you
could
about
do,
all
we,
this.
No, it's not even. It needs to be a documentary.
A documentary.
It needs to be
Oh
a
my
documentary where
gosh.
each person is interviewed.
The world's best comedy festival. That's the name of it. You said it perfect.
What was the that music festival where they wanted
Fire
like,
festival?
Fire,
Fire,
Fire-
yeah.
Yeah.
where they like were feeding people cheese sandwiches and
Yep.
shit like that. It's that they did a documentary on that. We need to do one on this.
But that was like trust fund people.
Yeah.
And this is people who are doing comedy for a living, completely opposite scale of the income.
yeah,
It was crazy. It was the most.
brutal.
It was honestly one of those things where like surviving that made so many things down the road easier to bear.
Well, I am glad.
See-
I am glad that other people than me just had a blood pressure of 200 over 500 that whole time because after stepped on a couple of landmines, I'm like, there's no getting through this minefield. Like there's 100 more out there that I haven't even discovered yet.
Yeah.
One of the big ones was there's supposed to be like gift bags and stuff. I'm like, okay, we have which apparently were mugs. I still have no idea what those were. Maybe the cigar bar gave you guys those because they felt bad. But Steve was supposed to be in charge of like gift bags, and we're like, so Miller Lite sponsored us. That was the first and only time I've had sponsors at a festival too. And then we had like one other also. So we were supposed to have a bunch of beer, and we were going to buy like bottles of liquor for everybody for their rooms. And, you know, I'm like, okay, at least I'll get these gift bags, and this will like help ease some of the pain of this early on. And so that very first night, I'm like, where are the gift bags, Steve? Who's in New Jersey with his mom consoling her. Where are the gift bags? Oh, they're at my house. Okay, I need to get those. We need to like start to put out some of these fires, whatever. Yeah, no problem. I'll call my buddy. He'll bring him over. And again, gotta have a back door to your lie. And no, just like every 30 minutes, I'm texting him. Where is he? Where is he? This guy's flaking out on me, man. This is whatever. Anyway, after the dust had settled from this whole thing, I'm like, there were no gift bags, were there? He's like, no, I got some things. Like, I'm like, well, what were in them? He's like, I got some people like a notepad and pencils. And I'm like, well,
Office supplies.
fuck, I'm glad that we didn't get them in the first place, or anyway, because that would have just made people angry.
I wish I was immoral back then, and I would have robbed you so hard.
Right?
Oh my.
It was, yeah, every bit of it was just bad, worse. But I don't know. I mean, like I said,
Hey, documentary
to my
come out
face,
of it.
I talked with Lund for probably like an hour. I'm like, this guy's awesome. And I knew Plug from the fight before, and all these guys, and they're all just super nice to me. And
Yeah.
I do think maybe the story that this dude's not solely responsible for this helped out. And then, so yeah, after the fact, Zach's like, all right, well, we're not doing that again.
Well, so something that happens a lot with comedy, anything, because like when you do a lot of comedy shows, you realize that a lot of people don't know what's happening. So when they set it up, even like what's like, oh, we're gonna have comedy here tonight at like a bar or something, and they don't know what they're doing. And like especially like comedy competitions, festivals, and stuff like that. It's also a lot of people who just like got in over their head and don't know how to like organize one.
Right.
So you're not alone.
The thing that breeds contempt is when they keep doing it.
Right.
And it's
Like,
not getting
next
better.
year. Next year will be. So we switched it up to it'll be 3 nights, like 7 shows, just at different
It's a
venues.
hangout.
And it's a hangout. Pay the comics to come up, which isn't, I guess, overly common in festivals. So they have an incentive to come. Give them, accommodations. Just be like, and they all know each other.
Yeah.
So Zach's like, it's just going to be a fun hang. Because even though we're all in the same city, you know, we only cross paths every once in a while. It has. It's just been freaking awesome. And now this will be year 5 in June. It just kind of runs itself. But once you figure out how it's supposed to go, how to make people happy.
Yeah.
And also these comics, like you said, it's just a big hang. So now that mushrooms are decriminalized in Colorado, it's even this last year. No, it was the year before. We did Sylvan Lake with everybody, and of course they all have their mushroom teas and mushrooms whatever, and somehow they all timed it out perfectly to where right as we're pulling up to Sylvan, like it must have hit everybody. Nancy's like in full like
yoga mode.
Shangri-La had opened up, and she's like, do you guys see the colors flowing out of this? And I'm like, I don't think that's how drugs work. Come on. But yeah, everybody, and we must have been like the wildest group, just this group of 15 people stumbling out of van.
Sylvan Lake is a very good family.
It's a great family.
It was until this happened.
And so I'm just like slowly monitoring around. I'm like, hopefully no one goes into like full naked, like I am one with the
It's
earth
like, oh, the psych ward van pulled up.
But it's just been a blast every year. And these comics are all great. The headliners we're getting out, Sam Miller, who's I think coming to
he'll be here
this
this weekend.
So I got to meet him last year. He was so. This isn't telling any tales. It's part of his act. He's 8 years, maybe 13. I don't get it wrong. Sober from meth, like 8 years of straight meth use, whatever. And so I'm just talking to him about that and trying to pick his brain. And he's riding shotgun in this van as we're driving up to Claire's, which was a different hangout spot.
I'm assuming not the like teen girls like
to go get us.
Right?
I didn't even think of that.
I want to see
now,
Sam Miller in a Claire's like that. I would pay so much money to see that.
See, instead of gift bags with notebooks like year 1, now we do free ear piercings for anybody.
Septum piercing.
You buy the earring.
You guys buy it. But so we're sitting there in the van.
Sam Miller in a tiara, so bad.
That is perfect. So it's me, Sam. Kobos is right there. If you know Kobos,
hell yeah,
dude.
Hell yeah.
I adore Kobos.
Dude, he's so nice.
And then I think it was Zach. And anyway, like, Sam's just quiet, and all of a sudden he's like, "You guys want to see something cool?" Yeah, hell yeah. And he pulls out this like a little like Porky Pig like pendant thing. He's like, "I found this on the floor at the airport. Isn't this wild?" I'm like, it's a piece of trash, man. But he wanted it, like his brain just snapped, like, I got my Porky Pig pendant. I got to show people. I see him like filming his hand out the window, and then he's like, check this out in slow motion. You see the wrinkles in my hand going crazy. I'm like, are you sure you're sober off this meth?
Was he doing the mushrooms?
No.
That was him 100%.
He is stone cold, like 100% sober.
Now, that's just all Sam.
Loving
Honestly,
his
that's
life.
just Sam.
It's just Sam.
Does not super
And
surprise me.
I am loving every bit of this. And then he's quiet for like 5 minutes, and we're driving. Everyone's kind of talking, and then he's like, "Hey, you guys ever think of how many cubes of air are in something?" And Kobus is like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's
That
like,
was the most hippie guy ever.
right. And he's like, you walk into a house, and you're like, I wonder how many cubes of air in here. He's like, what do you mean by a cube of air? And he's like, and I'm just like, you may be sober, but whatever you did over that time, it's still with you.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what his comedy is so.
It's perfect.
It's so surreal and inventive that you kind of feel like, I don't know if he's completely sober. You know what I mean?
Right. You're like, there's no way, but he's just reliving 8 years of.
He cracks his neck and some.
This was my life.
Freaks out.
When Kobos is like questioning you, like
When
all
Kobos
right.
is like, you're too weird for me. Awesome. Probably one of the meanest things anyone's ever said to me was because we do some singing stuff inside improv. Some of the games you have to sing. And I like to sing because, you know, this
You're
beautiful
really good
voice.
at it.
No. Well, so she goes, please don't sing anymore. She goes, watching you sing is like, she goes, remember when you were like a kid and you're watching a movie with your parents and like a sex scene would come on
Oh my God.
and it was super awkward and all you wanted to do was leave the room?
Oh my God.
She goes, that's how I feel when you sing.
Oh, that's so harsh.
That's a horrific
But she said,
thing to
and
say.
she didn't say it with that much intent. She was like, "Oh, you know how it is. Like that's kind of how I
That's a
feel."
horrific way to say it, though.
I was
Oh,
like,
man.
you could have just been like, "I don't think you're a great singer."
Yeah. If
like
it
you
was just
had
like,
you had like a very specific memory of like awkwardness and yeah.
The
And
next
you're
time we have a roast, we need her to get up and roast
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
like that.
because like I could be like, oh, you're pitchy, or you're not good at singing, or your
Yeah.
voice isn't very good. But to be like, listen,
listen.
it's a foundational cringe when you sing.
Remember when you hit those lows and there's a gun next to you and you're just thinking like, this could be it. That's how your voice makes me
Yeah.
feel.
You remind me of that time watching Titanic with my parents
Yeah.
while I'm discovering things about myself. And they're looking at me like, you shouldn't be watching this.
My favorite way that someone's ever put down someone singing to something is I would work at Burger King with this guy who's like 27 or something. I was 16. He was so cool. And whenever someone would be singing something, he'd walk up to you and he'd be like, hey, who sings that song? And then you would say the artist who sings the song. He's like, yeah, let's keep it that way, huh? That's one that goes in the pocket.
Tyler's like, I'm going to be a comedian someday. That's where the seed was planted.
And that 27-year-old working at Burger King? Ryan Schendzielous.
That's right.
Well, the thing I was thinking more at that time was like, I can't do crack. One of the managers there, he was the best manager, but he had used to be a crackhead, and he would literally walk
that
around.
was Sam Miller.
He'd walk around all day just being like, "Here's why you don't do crack," and I was like, "I don't need this.
I see you how you get through life.
I don't need.
you
I
to
don't
tell
need."
me.
He's like, he tells me this story as I'm scooping fries. Yeah, he's like, I remember one time when I was doing crack. He'd like walk up to you while you're in the middle of a rush. He's
as if he had left a conversation of
Yeah.
hanging. Right.
He's like, I remember one time my mom made me cookies, and I was really excited because they're my mom's cookies. And he's like, and I put them down, and I was looking at them, and it had been 3 days since I'd eaten last, and I really wanted to have a cookie, and I took a bite, and it didn't taste good. It didn't taste like anything. It tasted bad. So don't do crack. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, okay.
yeah.
Like he was lighthearted most of the time, but just like once in a while, there was like be a moment where like his crack sense tingled, and he was like, "I gotta tell people not to do crack." So
As part of his probation.
Man, I wish I
man.
worked at Burger King.
it was fun.
So hearing the story about this awful comedy festival that happened, right? Hearing that you guys all went through this makes me understand how when we have a bad show like the pizza place in Sioux Falls, like where we have a show, you guys are not as devastated.
Yeah.
Because you've been to the end of it.
Yeah.
And you survived it. And so
Well, I don't know. Survived. But yeah.
most of you survived it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
But and hey, the Black Hills Comedy Festival is one of the most like fun things I've done around comedy or like seen because it is just such a great collaboration.
Yeah, I was gonna say that now for anybody listening. It's not like that.
No, it's so
awesome.
good.
were you going for a fist bump?
No, it was just, he was like, "This is great, and you're like, "I couldn't move out of my chair, man." you're still in Vietnam flashback mode.
He was just thinking about how he didn't want his mom's cookies to taste bad. Like that's where he was at.
Yeah. Well, we've done like an hour 15.
Yeah, we
And I didn't think we would just do.
Yeah, that
The
was the
worst
bio.
of the
That was the
recap.
5-minute bio.
I didn't think we would just do the worst. Basically, this is
Hey Ryan, let's just do the worst experience of your life.
yeah. Well,
I don't know. I think we missed the religious trauma with that. Like, I mean,
that's what I was about to say. Is like, there's a lot more we could have done.
Oh yeah,
And I
I've
think
lived.
maybe we
I've
should do that.
lived 3 very distinct lives.
Because I'd love to know more about that,
Yeah.
I would too.
but
Nobody else would.
yeah. And we didn't do an intro.
Part
on this.
2?
I was gonna say
Part
this is where we
3?
go up and drink scotch upstairs and finish this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. This is the perfect tease. This is where, as I understand how it works, you're like, and if you want to hear part 2, the Patreon,
Yeah. There we
Yeah.
put it behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Put it behind a paywall.
Yeah.
I got more stories. I got stories for days, people.
Yeah.
I've been on this planet for 33 years, so
Where were you the rest of the time?
Well, thanks for tuning in to Things Might Happen. Make sure you like and subscribe to figure out if more things are going to happen. All right.
that's the sign off.
That's I usually like, hey,
Audio
what do you wanna-
engineer.
Well, what do you want to do?
Bye.
No one gets to this part.